Hey everyone, I would love to welcome you back to this episode of the She Who Dared interview sessions with the Lois Weber Film Festival. I am Katie Kalori, and for those tuning in and you don't know me, I'm an actor, writer, director, producer, and I'm also vice president of the Lois Weber Film Festival. With these sessions, we'll be sitting down with the incredible filmmakers of the Lois Weber Film Festival that were selected and nominated. And I'm sitting with one today. Her name is Karin. Karin, thank you for coming.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. How do you pronounce your last name, by the way?
Trachtenberg.
Trachtenberg.
Yes.
Awesome.
German
And
would
your,
Trachtenberg, but that's okay.
oh, okay. Fancy. And your film, Pumpkin Pie, it was a jury favorite. Now, tell me a little bit about that and what inspired that idea?
So it's actually my second film that I directed. The first film, so Pumpkin Pie is a two-hander,
Oh,
and I wanted to do a two-hander again. The first one that I did was called 3 a.m. and was much more of a drama. So I wanted something a little bit lighter. And put a call out for scripts. And my philosophy and my co-producer, we really want to work with as many women as possible. So our crews are almost 100% women.
I
DP,
love that.
a woman DP. And so, of course, we're telling women's stories from a woman's perspective. So I wanted a woman writer, screenwriter. I ended up looking through lots of scripts, and as you know, if you do a short film, budget is a consideration. So
Oh
things
God, yeah.
to the moon or whatever,
Yes, for sure.
we're not going to work. So I was looking for basically something we could do in primarily, one or two locations, and
Which
involve.
is nice.
Which is nice. It's more
Yeah.
manageable, but even within a location, you move around, right, itself,
Oh
but
yeah,
you have to move all
absolutely.
your equipment different places, which,
Or if something, yeah, the wall you wanted to use might not be lit well enough, so you gotta go and fix it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So wanting to work with a woman, and wanted a script with, with two women. Actually, originally Julia and I were going to act together, but then I liked directing so much. I said, no, I want to direct this. And we ended up just finding a script that was sort of light and yet very heartfelt,
Yes.
into women. And it was actually a short play, which is interesting because,
Oh,
yeah, which I then had to adapt, because, something that you do on stage, you're going to cinematically is different. You need less
oh
dialogue.
yeah.
You need to move the action. There's visuals involved.
I know all about that.
So our first film was also a 10-minute play, which I then adapted. I think for me, and actually for Julia, who's a co-producer and stars in it, we're both, like, I'm a really strong theater person. I've been doing theater for,
Me too.
like 50 years. So I feel like playwrights they're very adept at writing 10-minute short plays.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of that. So they really know how to do beginning, middle, and end, and also create a character arc. And that's what interests me, is character arcs. And I want to see the characters come together, start off emotionally in one place, and because of their rubbing together or their dialogue together, they end up someplace else. And I
And
found
you
that
see that in your script.
that's just what, it's
Oh
very
yeah.
traditional filmmaking, I guess, storytelling. But it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
what interests
But
me.
for anybody that's watching and it might, want to dabble in filmmaking and has never done it before, that's such an important piece to let them know about, that it is truly about the character arc.
Yes, and I mean, there are definitely other films out there that I love that are sort of more experimental and esoteric,
Yeah.
but this is sort of what I know. And yeah, so we just really liked, I just really something about it, and also that we felt it could be done as a short, 10-minute film. It all takes place in a bakery, which our DP and also another co-producer, Maddie, found the bakery for us. It was actually called Bread Guy Breads. And we
Where
had,
is it?
it's in Grafton. It's just
Oh,
incredible. All they make is bread. And this is the funny story. He said, "Oh, well, I close my shop down from January 1st to January 7th because everyone goes off gluten for 1 week after New Year's. And then they
oh my God. Yeah, that would be
start
me. I'd be
again
one of
on
them.
January 7th." So it was nice that we had that location. We did have a production designer. We actually had a graduate BU student do the production design because we needed to, it was a very masculine looking sort of bakery and we needed to sort of feminize it and make it
Yeah, no,
feminine.
it was so cute and charming.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really fun. And then also we moved the, even 10 minutes, you have to have moving, it has to move location. So we had the front of the bakery, but then we went, as they got sort of deeper into it emotionally, we go right into the back rooms of the kitchen, which was a challenge to make look interesting because it was all like um ovens, you know, and stainless steel. So that was interesting. But the lighting, we just had a wonderful lighting designer. And it was really almost all women who worked on the.
I
Um,
love that, hearing that. I truly didn't know that about your film.
yeah.
I was gonna ask you, you were talking about 10-minute plays. I did Boston Playwrights Theater.
Uh,
Have you heard of it?
yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you submitted your stuff to that?
I haven't written any really 10 minute, oh, I have written actually, but I haven't written any 10-minute plays. But actually the first one we did, 3 a.m., Julia had seen at a Boston Playwrights, like at a 10-minute play festival.
Oh, okay.
I've done some, been in and directed a bunch of 10-minute play festivals. So
And Julia is your,
Julia Trueblood she stars in Pumpkin Pie and she's a co-producer.
okay, was she the baker?
She was the baker, yes.
Okay. Okay. Good to finally put a name with the face. Yes. And speaking of which, your film not only was a jury favorite, but it also got nominated for three different nominations. And that was Best New England Short, Best Supporting Actor, that was Hilary Dennis, and Best Original Score. How does that make you feel?
Well, really good. It's nice to see people recognized. Another interesting story, Hillary she's a wonderful actress. She's based in New York and Northampton. She does a lot of Shakespeare work.
I was wondering if she was theater based. Yes.
I went to college with her mother and have acted with her mother
Oh
in
my God.
several things and also knew Hillary. I actually also acted with her other sister. And Hillary had auditioned for 3 a.m. and her audition was, so this is for actors out there, her audition was fantastic. It just wasn't the right fit for the character, but I always kept her in
For the
mind.
previous film, you mean, right? Okay, yep.
Yes, but
But
I
you
was,
kept her in mind.
yeah, because I was like, I'd
Yes.
love to work with her. And then when Pumpkin Pie came along, I was like, I know, who would be really great for the
Oh
part.
yeah. She
Yeah,
was excellent.
yeah.
And um for anyone tuning in as well, this film is such a charming little piece, but it's got a lot of comedy in it. And for anybody that's a first time actor, you know, naturally the first thing, piece of advice that we could give them is, play for the truth with comedy. Comedy is very hard. It can be very timely. You got to hit your marks. How was it working with Hillary? Was it smooth sailing? Was it a
Oh, yeah,
collaborative effort?
absolutely. Yeah, it was really. I mean, again, she's a very experienced performer and has a lot of training and experience. And really, I mean, the thing about comedy and really any, I mean, comedy or drama, it's about the stakes. The higher the stakes are, actually, the funnier it is. And really, comedy should be about life and death, right? So she's like, I gotta have a pie. This will be the end of me if I don't get that pie.
Yes.
Um, whereas actually, when you do drama, it's really important that you find the humor,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's all serious, you don't want to stay with it. You really got to find the humor. So I think she really struck that note, very well in terms
Oh
of
yeah.
finding the humor, but yet making it really a desperate. It was a
You can
desperate.
tell when there's when you're watching an actor on screen, you can pretty much tell if they come from theater. I hope I'm not sounding a certain way when I say that, but it's really true. They have like a different aura about them. And she just, it's hard to keep your eyes off of her because of her everything down to her body movements, everything she utilized for her comedy. It was great.
Yeah, and also, but I mean, in terms of Julia, like she's the foil to that. So
Oh
Julia
yeah. No, she was just
so
as
ground,
great.
what I mean, so had to be so grounded. And that's the other thing. What makes when you have a two-hander, what makes it interesting is you really have to play the opposites and not
Yes.
people getting on the same tone. They each have their own rhythm and their own tone and their own breath quality. I think that's like when you're a theater actor, you sort of get that full body living in the character, sort of full body. So I really love what
Yeah,
Julia
they
did.
had great chemistry, the two of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Did they have now, did you all for your process, right? Did you rehearse at all some of these
So
scenes?
I'm glad you asked that. I'm actually a big advocate of rehearsing. Not a
Mm,
now when I'm doing when you're doing theater, you're rehearsing for 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks.
yeah.
That's
Yep.
different. I don't, you don't want to over rehearse film, but I do always insist that we have one on-site rehearsal.
Yeah.
I
I
want to get
agree. I'm
actors
that
on
person.
site. I want them to feel comfortable. I want to know how, figure out what the choreography, how we're moving, so that when you go into it, everyone's prepared and oriented. And I also like to bring, my DP is there, so we're figuring out with the actors what's the movement and what are the shots, as well as the lighting person. I think the more preparation you can
I was
do.
just gonna say that sounds like great prep work.
Yeah.
I personally, as an actor too, and not everybody's like me though, that I have realized in all the films I've been in, but I'm like that too. Even if the director doesn't hold the rehearsal, I'll still try to Zoom with the person, my co-star,
Mhm.
go over lines. I need that kind of prep work. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And also, what are I mean, I always feel like, I mean, I've acted certainly in a number of films, but in terms of directing, I've only directed two, but you're always going to run into some kind of snafu and you have no idea what
Yes.
that's going to be
Yes.
the day of.
Uh,
So
so
get
true.
everything that you can have prepared so that you have a little bit of leeway to deal with the last minute thing, which is, it's going to happen.
Yeah, you can't control everything. I mean, and when you just go with the flow, the most beautiful things can come from that. That's for sure.
Mm.
What are you hoping that when audiences see your film, what do you hope that I mean, obviously every piece of art is a discussion piece. So what do you hope that they talk about or feel? What do you hope they take away from it?
Well, this is, it's a film about sort of our anxiety about family dynamics. I think we all
Yeah,
have, right?
yeah. Yes.
And how you deal with that, and how you like just to think about how do you stay true to yourself, be
Mhm.
able to hold your own truth, be able to speak out, and yet still maintain family harmony. I mean, you know, we still love our families, even if we disagree with them, or often it can be a little sticky. So how do you sort of hold your own and yet embrace your family at the same time, and also be like, hey, this is who I am. I really
Yes.
do accept that. I think that's sort of what they kind of come together. And interestingly, actually in the play, as it was written, I don't want to give it away, but there's a part where they start laughing, right?
Mhm.
Towards
Mhm.
the end. And in the play, it's actually them crying.
Oh,
And I just pulled it on its head, because I felt like I don't want this to be a defeat. I want this to
yeah.
be victory. I want this to
Yeah.
be victory for her. So even there's sort of a coda at the end, an epilogue. I added that in too, because I just felt like it needed a button at the end, and it needed, yeah, I just wanted it. I
Yeah, it
wanted
ends on a very positive note.
right. Yeah. And
From the chaos of the beginning, yes, of the unknowing, yeah. And their relationship truly builds and
yeah.
becomes something special. Yeah. You hit the mark with that for sure. Um, did you ever in your how many years have you been doing this, did you say?
Filmmaking or theater?
How about all the above?
Um, I mean, really most of my life, because, you know, I sort of was
Mhm.
always interested in the arts, and I went to the High School of Music and Art, and then I was a theater major, and, you know, been involved in the arts in one form or the other for the last, I don't know, 40 something years.
So, okay. So you have a tremendous amount of experience. Um, was there for a moment in time in your career where you faced like a challenge on set, or maybe it was at a play rehearsal, maybe some kind of mistreatment that something beautiful came out of it?
Um, well, I guess I want to talk more about now in my, what I call my third act of life. I'm in my
Oh,
third act of life. Um, I I was started, so there was a period, of course, during COVID where we weren't doing theater. And then I guess it was 2022, 2020, yeah, 2022, started getting out and doing theater again. And I hadn't done theater in a while. And of course, everything gets harder, you know, the memorizing and everything. And I had this part, it was this outdoor production, and I doing my, you
I've
know,
never done an outdoor production. It's on my list, my
oh,
bucket list to
yeah,
do.
I can't quite,
Yeah.
anyway, I love Greek theater. I've actually done Greek
Mm.
theater, even in
Oh,
Greek theater, so it's like my thing. And this was Greek theater. And I'm doing a monologue, and something happened in my brain. Like, not only did I have a moment, you know, where you freeze and you don't remember your lines, like
oh, I hate that. Yes.
gobbledygook came out of my mouth.
Oh
Now,
no.
probably it was like couple of seconds. To me, it was like an eternity.
Yes, of
And
course.
I freaked. I was like, oh my God, this is it. I'm too old. I won't be able to do theater anymore. You know, I'm not going to be able to handle this. And I have a mentor, Patsy Rodenberg. She's one of the world's leading Shakespeare and voice coaches. And I had a class with her actually that summer. And I said how horrified I was that this happened to me. And she said, were you tired? It happens more than you know.
Yes.
I realized it was actually,
Yeah.
we'd done a matinee and an evening show. It was outdoors. There was no green room. There was no place to like rest. So I've just had to approach, like it used to be I could do theater. I go out afterwards, drinking, partying, eating. I cannot do that
Me
anymore.
too. I'm the
I
same
have
way.
to really, the self-care that I need to do.
Hmm.
Um, it's just different. And so I need to know that I get enough rest. I need to have quiet. You know, I just take care of myself in a much different way. And on set too, because I had a teacher who talked a lot about what you eat on set. If you're going to eat all the crap, right? And then you get, and then all of a sudden you're on right after the meal, or
I
right, you're
eat very, very light when I'm filming because it helps me focus. I can't eat something heavy or yeah.
right. And but it's not, they don't always offer that.
Oh
Like,
no, it's
and-
true. Yeah, so I would it for me if you're a new actor and you're going to set, sometimes it's best to like make your own meal and bring it.
yeah,
Make a
yes,
lunch.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and eat like protein or whatever, or fruits, or things like that. So, that was a big lesson for me, because I'm like, yeah, I can continue in this profession, which I can.
Yeah.
You just have to sort of adapt.
I
So
love
that,
that you mentioned that because that brings me back to, I'm going to shout him out, Jim Beauregard from Dean College. Of course, when you're college students, you think you can party your life away and still go to rehearsal and yada, yada, yada. And he was the one that said to us, your body is your instrument. You need to take care of your instrument. If you're going to be an actor, you need to really take care of it. And that's always stuck in my head. So that's so funny that you're mentioning that because I've never forgotten that. And
yes, your
it's
body.
very true. Rest is so important.
That's just so important. Your voice, warming up, all those kinds of things are really, and especially when you're on set and you're there all
Yeah,
day,
it's
you don't know when
exhausting.
you're going to get called. Could be the big first shot. It could be right, the last shot, and you have to have, you have to be on, and you have to have, um, yeah, be
It's
really
so
focused.
true.
And that's the hard part, I think, about film, is the waiting. But I have even immensely more respect for the crew who
I was
never,
just gonna say they're
right,
they're there extra long. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
boom operators holding that boom up
Yeah.
for 12
That's
hours,
for sure.
like really. And the DP, Maddie, who had, she had the camera,
Oh yeah. Now, who was your DP? I'm sorry.
her name is Maddie Stasek, and
Okay. I've never heard of
yeah,
her.
she's really, really wonderful. Actually, this is
Yeah, it
another.
was shot beautifully.
She and Hillary grew up together.
Oh,
And
wow. So it's kind of like all in the family. Yeah,
I know,
I think the best films sometimes are when you're with your people, your tribe, people you jive with the most. Yeah,
yeah,
that's great.
and
Now, have you?
bring in new people. So there's always a mix of,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever heard of Lois Weber before?
I have not, and I am
How funny
so,
is
I
that?
know, and I'm so fascinated, because of course we don't really celebrate especially the early women.
I know.
And
It's
I think
sad.
it's fantastic that you're doing this and highlighting her, this whole festival through.
Well, it's so funny because like I've been acting since I was 15. I did drama club and I did it just because I wanted to get out of my shell. And they cast me in a play. I didn't want to be in a play. I was terrified to do it, but then I found my calling. But it's just crazy to me that from theater to when I freelanced and learned film along the way, I have never heard of her. And Gabby was the one that told me about her. So when we did the film on her, that's sort of when I started doing my research, learning about her. And I'm like, how is this woman not remembered or talked about
Right?
when she had so many accolades? She did so much for women in film. Um, so yeah, for Gabby and I, it's so important for us. We're trying to build like a safe space for women to feel seen and heard, to have the opportunities that they might not necessarily get in the indie film world. And it's just so funny to me that someone with so much experience like you still has not, and all the other interviews I've done, everyone has had the same response. Isn't that sad?
Yeah. Well, but now you're doing something about it. And what I really
Yeah.
admire and appreciate about Gabby is that she is her passion for history and bringing out, right? She's always all her
She
pieces.
is meant to do period pieces, that's for sure.
Yeah. And make us aware of, women that
Yeah,
we weren't.
she's to me, I feel like she's like our day and age's Lois,
Right. Yeah.
truly.
Yeah. The
You know, she's
reincarnation. There's
breaking the
something
barriers.
cool.
She's breaking the glass ceiling for all of us.
Yeah.
She comes up with ideas that I'm like, wow, how do you do it? She really inspires me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. She is a force and we're
She
lucky to
totally is.
have her, right?
Um, Now I was wondering too, backpedaling to your film, which is such a cute, cute little piece. If there was any word of advice, if someone were to watch your film, well, first of all, can people reach out to you? Are you, oh,
Yes.
I sorry, I had a pop up. So people can reach out to you if they want, right? Via your socials or something.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
had a question. Um, if you had any word of advice for a first-time filmmaker or maybe somebody that's struggling, because as artists, we go up, we go down, we doubt ourselves. Am I really doing the right thing here?
Mm.
Um, what would be your piece of advice for someone that's struggling?
Oh my gosh. We, I don't think the struggle ends. I hate to say it.
Yes,
It
I
really does.
know.
Um, I don't, I think
It's
that
worth it. We promise.
it doesn't matter what echelon or what level that you're at, whether it's, Academy Awards. Um, I think all artists struggle with self-doubt and is this
Yes.
good and what am I doing? But I think there's a difference between that and sort of feeling passionate about what you're doing. You've got to feel passionate about what you're doing. I
Yeah.
think the way if you
Mhm.
feel really certain and then it's probably not, you're not very open. I think the self-doubt is actually helpful. It makes you always try to find a different way, or who do I need to bring in, or how can I make this better? Um, I mean, the one thing about theater, of course, is it's live, you do it, and then you can, correct things or do it differently the next day. You can't do that in film. And that's the
No.
hard part. Then you watch your film back and afterwards you're like, oh, I wish I had done this, or I wish I
Oh
had
God, I know. Yeah.
worked, and you could edit it forever, right? And it would never
Yes. No matter
lose.
how many times.
Yeah. Um,
And then you reach that point of insanity when you're editing so much that you're just like, I should probably take a break from this.
Yeah, at some point, I know, because I think when we had we were at the final, and then Julia was like, there was like 3 seconds she wanted to cut out, and edit out, like, we don't really need that. And I said, yeah, I don't disagree with you, but do we really want to go back for those 3 seconds? Like, we have to move on now and just accept it. So I think you just have to accept the self-doubt. But for me, I'm always training,
Yeah, that's very important.
always
Oh my
training.
God.
And I'm
Hmm.
always exposing myself to other artists and trying to learn. And what I love about theater and film is its collaborative nature. I mean, I literally know nothing technically really about cameras, what camera we use, how to shoot it, lighting. Like, I really don't. I rely on, you know, I'm bringing what I know, what I can bring to the table, and hiring other people who bring their expertise to the table. And I think that's the thing about working with women. I think women do tend to work a little more collaboratively.
Oh yeah.
Also like
Hmm.
to care. They're not going to just kind of show up and I don't want to say wing it, that men wing it, but sometimes they just show up and feel like it's going to come together. So that's what I really appreciate about working with women, is that sort of collaborative nature, and also just being like, hey, I don't know how to do this. Can you can you help me?
Oh yeah, no, it's true. Someone once told me because I doubt myself so much, and there was a huge chunk of time in my 20s that I was like, maybe this really isn't for me. I feel like I didn't take it seriously or was responsible until my late 20s with it, and you truly have to be. But someone once told me that doubt is in the domain of the truly gifted, and
Oh.
I've never forgotten that because it is so true.
Mhm.
Um, I love that advice, and I definitely think people should know too that it's so important to stay educated, whether it's a book, even if you don't have the funds to do a workshop, you can do it by observing people at a coffee shop, open a book. There are plenty of webinars now, luckily. Yeah, I love that. Karin, could you just let everyone know where they could possibly follow you and what's next for the film?
So I have a website.
Uh-huh.
I could even manage spell my name, KarinTrachtenberg.com. And it's Karen with an I, but it'll be, I think, on the Lois Weber
Yep.
materials and stuff, so they can find me there. Pumpkin Pie Film is on Instagram and on Facebook. Um, this is the start of our festival run. We actually had a premiere in New York at a little festival in the East Village. So this is our
Oh, I
second
love it over there.
screening
Mm.
and our New England premiere. So, and then we're going to the Ridgefield in Connecticut. They have a film
That's
festival.
awesome. You guys are really hitting everything.
Well, we'll see. It
Yeah.
takes, we apply to a whole, you apply and then
Yeah.
spread out over. I try to apply to the early bird.
Yeah. That's great.
It's a lot cheaper, so you don't hear about it, maybe for months. So we'll sort of see where it goes from there. But I couldn't be more thrilled to be, introducing it to New England at the Lois Weber. I think that's
I'm
perfect.
excited. I can't wait for people to see. And honestly, wish you best of luck at the award ceremony for those three nominations. You never know. And thank you so much for joining us today, Karin. I hope someone that watches today gets some little tidbit, some little piece of advice from you, and they keep it.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you joining us, and we cannot wait to screen your film. Your whole cast and crew should be very proud.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Thank you.
be there. So sorry to miss it, but I'm in Florida.
That's okay. It happens. Anybody that's watching, if you still haven't gotten your ticket, you can visit our website to purchase, and that's the loisweberfilmfestival.org. And until next time.